Okay, so the reason we brought this topic is because we can't avoid conflicts. It's a part of us at work, at home, in our relationships. So I'll be sharing my screen shortly, please. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so for me, I like interaction if I'm having a presentation. So you can cut me at any time. You can give me your opinion at any time. I don't mind. So once again, my name is Abele. I'm a senior Scrum Master in making. Today we are talking about addressing the elephants in the Scrum room. Yeah. So the first question is, what's the elephant in the room? What exactly? Oh, my son, I'm sorry. What exactly is that thing we call the elephant in the room? If you see the picture here, everyone is minding their business, doing their work, but they all know the elephant is there. A lot of times we think of conflict, and the first thing we talk about, we come up with is maybe heated arguments, maybe hot exchange of words, but that's not always the case. There are conflicts that we like to avoid, where everyone is aware that is there. They're not explicitly expressed, but the team members, let's now bring it down to our workplace. The team members know that issue is there. For example, I work, lately they started letting a lot of people go. We didn't know the reason. Out of the blues, we started letting people go. And then amongst ourselves, we're like, what's going on? But with management, we didn't talk about it. And I was wondering that, is there any point in putting any efforts? Because I could just wake up tomorrow and I'm gone. You know, we had to, anyway, we'll get to how we resolve such issues. But that was an elephant in the room that the management knew about, that we knew about it, but they refused to address it. So these are conversations that we should have, but most of the time we don't have them. I'm sure if you've not experienced this at work, then you should have experienced this maybe at home with your spouse or your mom or dad, someone, an issue that you guys need to address, but you're not addressing. It could be a major problem or a very controversial issue, and that is being avoided. That's the elephant in the room. Now, in Scrum, for you to have, our aim is to build a very high performing team. And to get that high performing team, you need a very good team dynamics in place. Having conflict or knowing how to address this issue is key to your team dynamics. So how you address these things is also a test of how mature a Scrum leader that you are, a Scrum Master, the kind of leader that you are. It shows how you address this kind of issues. So the reason is, the question now is, why do we avoid this kind of conversations? The number one thing is fear. I don't want to offend anyone, or you don't want to rock the boat. Or it could just be, that's really not my business. After all, it's not my company. Whatever they want to do, let them do. That's their problem. There was a colleague that had such a team, and the team members obviously were not in sync with him. He didn't address it. He knew about it. They knew about it. He didn't address it. And then his contract was up. They didn't renew it. Because the team performance, it was obvious that this team is not going okay. And the first person they felt was not doing or driving the team was the Scrum Master. I'm just trying to bring to the front the effect of not addressing certain things. We cannot sweep things under the carpet in Scrum. We have to address them just for the health of the team. So the effects, fear culture. I don't know if you can maybe give me in the chats what you think a reasonable or good team dynamics should have in the chat, if you don't mind. Let's see. I'm seeing openness, transparency, trust. These are good answers. Yep, very good answers. But in SAFE, if you remember, there's a keyword that we're told if your team alignment, good, yeah. I was looking for trusts. Yeah, thank you for that, trusts. A team that has no trust, that is the foundation of any team in terms of how you want to build it. The team dynamics, there must be very good trust amongst the team members. If there is no trust, your team is going to crumble. So thank you for that. Back to where fear culture exists. Remember our Scrum values. We want to promote a safe environment where everyone there's openness. We can all talk. There's courage to talk. Casting fear aside. Those are the things we should promote in a team. But where you don't address conflicts, fear persists. And there are certain team members, that always feel like they are the cabal. I don't know if you guys have experienced any of this, but in any organization, there is always politics and there will always be cabal, cabal play in such places. If you remember, like the case of Nigeria, where before you even come out to run for presidency, you have to go be the owners of Nigeria to give you permission. We didn't even know that Nigeria had owners. Whatever they say is what goes. Those are major stakeholders. So for your workplace, you have certain people who are also known as your cabals, the people, the movers and shakers. They are always there somewhere at the background. In some work culture promotes such things. So not addressing conflicts, we give such people more power. They say it's unchecked power and influence. Well, there will be decline in productivity, morale will be low, and then of course the value decline. The reason you put together a decline because especially the Gen Z today, if you even shout at them, is an issue. So okay, the steps that we need to address the elephant in the room. First of all, let's not assume that there's an issue. We should always verify that there really is an elephant in the room. What exactly is the issue? Is my perception the same as yours? I don't want to have an issue with someone and I feel, oh, the person doesn't like me because, meanwhile, the person is not even bothered about what I'm thinking about. So you always have to, first of all, verify that our perception are actually reality. And then you have to foster professionalism. That is the approach. that you use. You have to state the reason you are bringing this up. If you have team members that are obviously not aligned within the team and with the organization values, they won't work well together. The reason you should be able to, call for such a meeting, you should state it out, the benefit. This is why we are addressing this for the purpose of this. You have to state the positive intentions and then you make it constructive. Always have an agenda, because one thing I have come to realize, it's very easy and quick for emotions to start flying. As a Scrum Master, we coach ourselves to be emotionally intelligent. You should be able to spot crocodile tears. You should be able to spot the person who is not really being genuine, body language reading and all of that. We are facilitators, we are negotiators, we bring people together to resolve issues. So as a Scrum Master, we should be able to develop to the point where you can detach your emotions and then work with facts alone. To reduce that emotions, you have to bring forth facts. So that's where being objective comes in, because emotions, when they come in, it really gets tricky. But if we stick with the fact that it's better, if we use facts only, mostly, then it's easier to walk through the issues, not casting emotions aside. We'll be able to objectively discuss what the main problem is. That's the root cause of the issue. One thing again is you have to get help. Sometimes you have to realize that the issue on ground, you may need to involve some other person, or maybe involve, I would say, maybe company policy in terms of the company handbook. That could be your guide. That is where it is beyond, in some places it could be harassment. It could be, not necessarily with the project. It could be, anything that's, I don't know, whatever it is as the elephant in the room that you're trying to address, it could be different things. Sometimes you need to get HR involved if even you are involved. Or you need to get somebody who has been through that same thing that you're trying to address, just so that they bring in their own objectivity into it. So that it won't be about you alone. And then creating a dialogue. You are just there mostly, practice active listening and let them talk, let there be good feedback so that you can work with the feedback you get. The aim really is to get a resolution and to get a way forward. Being able to address these issues and being able to get your team's dynamic up, getting your team to work together in sync is the goal, is the aim of addressing conflicts. We experience them every day. We know our personality types determines how we address these things. I have friends that they don't like to confront issues. They rather not talk about it. But we are friends. And if we want to make this friendship healthy, we should address conflicts amongst us. We should address conflict at work. Now, with my issue, when I had the issue at work, I had a meeting with my boss. She was still dancing around it, and I'm like, are we, going to talk about what's been going on? And at that point, she said, yes, okay, let's talk about it. And by the time we were done, I felt better because I was better informed. And I knew the reasons certain decisions were taken. You have to bring clarity, into issues. We can't just, take decisions in isolation and not expect that the other person will not be affected. Because for every decision you take, you need to know the effect and the impact on your team. Get actionable steps. Everybody has to be involved and own their parts. Taking responsibility for who has to say sorry, for who has to say, okay, these are the things I can do going forward. to remedy my actions. Those are actionable steps that you can also follow up with, because certain things are not resolved in one meeting. You can have several meetings to follow up. So I would say fostering a culture of open talk without fear or apathy. That is what should be the goal of any team, where trust is absolute, trust is very high. Then our team should be good. At this junction, I just want to ask members of the house, whether it's personal or not, or at work, can you please share instances where you had to resolve conflicts at work? I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. Where you've had to resolve conflicts or mediate in conflicts, whether it's work or personal. I would like to hear your feedback, because from all indication for me, it's always a direct approach that works. So always addressing the issue and not sweeping it under the carpets. Senior Scrum Masters in the house, Scrum Masters that are aspiring yet to get a job, in what areas, if you don't like to address conflict by nature, you will not address conflict at work. So these are just steps to bring us that realization, that addressing conflicts is key. Thank you. If you have questions, please, but I first of all want to hear opinions of conflict resolution amongst us. It's even obvious in our team here on Uber, a lot of us are very quiet. I have come to understand that personality types matters in how you handle things. But coaching ourselves to be better versions is, very important. We have to keep developing. So thank you. Can I have, if you don't mind, examples, please, of how you've addressed these things at work, the kind of conflicts you address in terms of having an elephant in the room? Thank you, Ade. Our first person. How you go?
Yeah, I'm good. Hi, everyone. First of all, that was a very beautiful presentation. Thank you. So let me share my own 2 cents. I presently have this issue right now in one of my teams. There's this crazy girl in this team. Like, she's crazy. She's toxic. I have tried however I can. Even when you do one-on-ones with her, it's never productive. Like all these people you talk to, and she just gives you like this one syllable answer. Yes, no, okay, yeah. Like, it's like that. Anyways, but you will speak to this person, and she's just, like you said, like a cabal in the team. She's been in the team for a long time, that she feels she knows everything, and like, you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Anyways, I did my best. It wasn't helping. I had to escalate to leadership. We're still at that point right now. They're looking at probably changing out, like giving up to another team, just for her to change our environment. That is the resolution right now. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents. Like, it's very real conflict in teams. It's actually very, very real. I'm dealing with it right now. She has problems with everybody except herself. She does not take feedback. Like, if you criticize her work, she takes it personal. She feels she's negative. I just don't know what's wrong with her. She's just not happy with life generally, I guess. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ade. Exactly what I was talking about. The resolution she had to use was eventually getting help. Sometimes we can't do it by ourselves. We need to get help. So thank you so much for sharing, Ade.
I have a follow-up question with Ade. Ade, what's her role on your team?
She's the QA.
Okay.
She's the QA.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Adetola.
Yeah, thank you, Billy. Wonderful presentation. That's so nice. Good evening, everyone. So for me, it is my project manager and my business analyst. Before I joined the team, she used to handle a lot of the things that would be done and used to be in the whole on ground with the team and doing different kind of work and documentation and everything. So when I came on board, and not long after our BA came on board, so everybody had to split into their roles and start doing their roles basically. But there's still the issue with my project manager because she still wants to be in the nitty-gritty of the details going on with the team. And it seems that she and the BA always bump heads, and the PM always has a problem with the BA's way of documenting stuff or the verbiage that she uses. And then instead of talking to the BA like one-on-one or just saying, hey, you did this, could you change this, or could you make me understand what this report is or what your status is, she just blows it out of a proportion and adds all the senior managers on there and say, hey, but the BA is supposed to do this, I didn't get this, and it's just being put up in blast. And so my BA came to me and is like, is there something I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing? Because it seems like the PM always picks on everything that I do. So because I know that, yeah, we're part of conflict resolutions, it's part of our responsibilities. So I reached out to the PM and, just wanted to figure out, what's going on. Are we okay? Do you think that we should pick up on the RACI document? Because we talked about a RACI document initially, which is the roles and responsibilities of the PM and the Scrum Master and the BA, everybody. I'm like, do you think we should pick up on that document and kind of like fine tune it to what everybody needs to do? She said, okay, we did it. But still, there's still that bumping of heads between them when it comes to demo, or the PowerPoint was not put up right. And it's always this particular individual. She doesn't have any problem with anybody else but that. So for me, the only thing I could do, just like Ade, was to talk to our team lead about it. And he's also of the opinion that she wants the team to do certain things that we don't necessarily have to do, coming from a project manager standpoint. So he's like, don't worry about it. We'll see how we can explain this to her. It still hasn't worked out yet. So we have another meeting scheduled like in 2 weeks' time, just to kind of like put everything on paper and make it clear, like if this person's role, if you're not clear about this, ask questions, ask the person. Don't just put it out there and fault like they don't know what they're doing or what the heck that they're doing. So that's the route that we're trying to go with right now. And hopefully that works, because my PM doesn't, when you ask her, she says nothing. She'll tell you, oh, everybody's doing what they need to do. But those emails are signaling that you have a problem with this particular person and you're not addressing the issue with her. Every other person knows that there's an issue, but when we ask you, you don't say anything about it. So that's kind of like how we're working towards it. And hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to squash it, or, find out what next we can do to help the situation. So that's my own experience.
Adetola, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Did you try bringing both of them together in the same?
Yes, I did. And the PM was like, oh, you're doing your work. Yeah, this is the role you're supposed to take and you're doing it. That's what she would say. But it's just those emails that go out after her updates that is like, hey, why is this verbiage this? Like the little thing, she tries to blow it out of proportion and make it be like the BA doesn't know what she's doing.
Actually, that's actually mean. That's not acceptable. She's not promoting. I mean, it's going to affect the team, definitely. It would affect the team, because then others are also watching and seeing how she's acting out.
Mm-hmm. And that BA might end up leaving not on a good note.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's doing a good job, you're going to lose a good employee.
Yes, I hope. I had the conversation with her and she did mention, like, you know what, worst case scenario, I'll just leave. But I'm like, no, we're gonna work this out. It wouldn't get to that part. Just calm down, we'll work it out. So that's what I told her.
Well, thank you, Ade. Chi?
Yeah, thanks for that presentation again, Billy. It was wonderful. I used to have a team member. It's an office setting, and it's not actually a Scrum setting actually, but it's worthy of sharing. Every time a new person comes to the office, she tries to maybe take a picture of the person doing something wrong and sending it to the boss. And I just noticed that she was a favorite to the boss. So, and no one could speak up because nobody actually knew what relationship was between them. But, so when I joined, they would be like, oh, see, anything you do around her, just be careful. And I'm like, why? So I got into not an altercation, but, I noticed she was trying to come close to see what I'm always doing, wanting to ask questions if I'm okay. So I was like, okay, I will try to address this my way. So some time ago, she never goes to the break room to eat. And the rule is you must go to the break room to eat. She always eats on her desk. And every time they come, people will go behind to report her, but nothing is done. But if she sees you eating in the office, she takes a picture and sends across. So eventually she had an issue with someone who left just because of her. And someone else also on that team was saying she was going to leave. So I couldn't take it anymore. So I went to the boss. I'm like, look, excuse me, what do you guys have with this person? This issue is lingering and I think it has to be addressed. So what the boss now did was to ask them to switch, seats, took the other guy, took the lady and put at one side of the office and took the other lady and put at the other side of the office. And I was like, sir, is this the best way you can handle this? And he says, well, yes, because there's nothing I can do about it. They don't get along. So I'm like, no, I think there's some other way to address it. Well, long story short, I also left. And one of the reasons why I also left was also because of her. So I wanted to ask, in that kind of scenario, what should have been done? Was separating two of them the best, or what other we could have, other than going to HR? Because I just don't know why she's always antagonistic to anyone that comes new, especially.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience, Chi. It's obvious that she's a cabal and definitely already affecting the team. I had an experience when I first came into America and where I was working. This particular lady just had a way of addressing people, talking people down. For whatever reason, I didn't know. And at the point, we had people resigning. And then one day, they just came and walked her out. Like, what's going on? And the boss said, she can't do the job. I need the whole team to do this job. We need to be productive. So if she's going to be the one that's making people leave, then she should be leaving so that people can come back. And he reached out to these team members who had left to come back. So if you don't address these issues, also it can be personal, like I said. I've had a personal situation with a friend. We had one major issue that we both knew we should address, but we did not. And then she left the country. One day, out of the blues, after not speaking for a while, out of the blues, she just called and said, Ebele, I want to introduce someone to you. I said, no. You and I had an issue before you left the country, and this is the issue. We didn't talk about it. You just want to introduce someone to me. I don't want your friend. At that point, she was forced to let us address the issue. And then by the time she was done, she ended up introducing me to my husband. So there are benefits to addressing conflicts, both personal and at work. if you don't address them, you may end up having a good person go, or you may, not have the opportunity to repair a bridge or make something better. So, Chi, your hand is still up. Do you still have something to say?
No, I'm sorry, I'll put it down now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, these are good examples for those interviewing, as was put in the chat. For all of our interviews that we've done, a lot of questions come from conflicts. So many, okay, Abdul, can go ahead.
Hi, Bele. Thank you for the presentation. It was awesome. I'm still new in Scrum Master, and but regarding conflict, I think what I personally experience is that I think there is a huge advantage in individual to be upright, kind of a thing, always stand for the truth, irrespective of even if you have a favorite or not. I think people will respect your value in that instance, which anytime you need to address anything, they will know that this guy speaks the truth. He won't support you even though you are his friend or not. Because there was a time that two of my friends, they have you know misunderstanding, right? And I was there. So when the other friends wanted to solve it, I was being called upon like, oh, call Abdul, he's not gonna lie, he's gonna tell us exactly how it is. So I believe that once I know that kind of balance is kind of difficult for a lot of people, but to me, I believe that once you always stood with the right thing, I think people will respect you for that, irrespective of your relationship with them. So this is my own personal experience, and it has not happened in a single place. Like I've experienced it in different places, because I had someone that's, we don't really talk that much, but he mentioned of something which I was, happy inside of me, because he said, oh, even though I don't really know this guy, but he's going to tell the truth. So it's very good when you have the integrity and people knows you with that. I think it's a plus in solving any kind of problem, irrespective. Even those your close friends, they're gonna know that quality with you, that this guy is not gonna support me if I did something wrong. And for me personally, the thing that I've imbibed in me is, yes, I have friends, but I don't have the 100% relationship, in the sense that when they do something wrong, that I won't be able to speak out. So I always leave that percentage aside, that when you do something wrong, I will let you know you did something wrong, and that's the end of it. So thank you. That's what I.
Thank you, Abdul. Well spoken. Thank you. Bintia.
Hi, Bella. Thank you so much for that presentation. It's timely, especially for us in this team, as we begin to interview and go into new workplaces, and know that it's not going to be all smooth sometimes. I like from your presentation where you talked about fear and not wanting to rock the boat. And sometimes some of us are scared of standing alone, even when we know that we are right. And that is something that comes with you being new in a place. So recently I was talking to our staff educator I asked her for her report, and she's telling me that she gave it to somebody else, right? And I'm like, what do you mean you gave it to somebody else? So where you are the staff educator, you're supposed to have this information. But you know what? There's this other staff member that collects other people's job, and she's the town crier that wants to report it. So I'm like, you should have your own copy. Oh, she told me I'm supposed to be giving it to her. I said, no. But I'm like, you need to own your job and be able to speak to it when you are asked. You can't be saying you gave it to somebody else. And she goes, oh, I'm new here. I don't want to. And I'm not that as confident. I said, look, you have your own license. If you can't work here, you will work somewhere else, right? Being afraid and not speaking up is one of the problems. And some people will capitalize on that and begin to steal your own job and your own ideas, and then they'll use it to shine. There's another colleague of mine who we're supposed to be meeting every week with the CEO. She goes and quickly give her report. And then she comes to tell me in the office, oh, I just saw the CEO. He said we don't have any meeting today. And it took some time for me to realize that that's what she's doing. She goes and gives all the report like everything is her job. And then I don't get the chance to talk about what I've done for the week. So when we go into an organization like that, we have to be very careful and don't be afraid to stand alone, because this other person has been there for a long time. She has a lot of friends, a lot of people who look up to her. For the first day I stood up to her, everybody was surprised that, oh, yes, I'm a Nigerian woman. We don't take nonsense. So the people that are her friends are not her friends. When they see me, they just look at me from afar because they're afraid for her to see them talking to me. But again, I know my worth. And we have to be confident when we go and be able to speak up, because people will take you and take your work. So that's what I want to say. Thank you, Billy, for the presentation.
Thank you, Bintia. You mentioned something, being confident. That's very key. One of the Scrum values, courage. You have to be courageous as a Scrum Master. You can't be boxed to a corner as a Scrum Master. You should be able to speak up and talk for your team. You're supposed to be the person shielding the team. So it's something that we can develop if we're not there yet. Annie.
Hey, Billy. Thank you for the awesome presentation. I just want to chime in with my own personal experience of conflict situations at work. It's not necessarily in a Scrum team setting, but it's in a PMO setting. And I think there's still some, commonalities that can be transferred into a Scrum setting as far as getting a solution. So at my project management work, at my project management job, I started my position as a project coordinator. And sorry, this might sound like a story, but it'll provide some insight here and there. I started my job as a project coordinator, and that's really just, I deliberately opted for that just so I could get a soft landing and just get my bearing in a new project management career. Because I recently just made the switch at that time. So I got into the organization, and the team I was working with, we were working on a large project, and I was a project coordinator within, supporting about 4 project managers, and then there was a program manager as well. So I worked directly with the program manager, and I worked separately with the project managers on different work streams. But there was this one senior project manager there, and she was just, I don't want to sound stereotypical, but I don't want to make any stereotypes here, but she's one of those people, if you know the type of who I'm talking about, where they're very negative. Once they see certain people and they perceive you a certain way, maybe they see a very different name from what they used to, from the regular John Smith, and you sound a little different, and you have a variety of different experiences, and they think you're a bullying target, basically. So, but what's really, really dangerous about her approach was that she doesn't do it openly. She's very subtle, and she uses advanced techniques at this, One-on-one, she'll be very nasty to you, but there's no one else to witness that, right? She'll take a lot of credits. She will blame you for mistakes she makes. She'll throw you under the bus and run you over 3-4 times if you allow her. She's one of those people. But I saw that, and then my program manager left. Now I had to work with her directly. She assumed the role of the program manager for that project, which was a good thing and not such a good thing. A good thing in the sense that, okay, you get to see the type of work I do. But I also figured out that she was pretty lazy. She likes to, even she said it herself, oh, our jobs as project managers is to, delegate and escalate. I'm like, okay, so I'll be on the receiving end of that delegation and escalation, right? She doesn't understand the idea of, sharing, sharing the labor, division of labor. She doesn't understand that. And so all this was going on. But what I found to be the best solution for that was I knew the type of work I did. I did my work multiple times better than her. So I just focused on doing my work. I didn't get into confrontations. I didn't get into gossiping about her or complaining about her. I just let my work speak for itself. Number one, I had complete confidence in the work I did. Number two, that great work you do leads to multiple successful project go lives. And I got a chance to work with several other people, and I was just constantly getting great feedback from everyone. And I got several recognitions during our town halls. So that, you can't go against that. You can't go against the majority in this situation. You can't have 10 people saying great things about you. You can't have 10 projects or multiple projects going well successfully, and you're a major you're a major driving force in those projects, and then you start going against that. Again, she tries very underhanded techniques, but have the confidence in the work you do, and then be unafraid, because I was totally unafraid of her, and be unafraid and be willing to speak up when appropriate and in a way that helps you. Don't go, running your mouth against someone and getting into, confrontations. Be very smart about how you do that, because she's very advanced with her techniques. You need to also up your game with that. So I don't want to call it a game, but you just have to, A, be objective, B, be unattached, and just be very strategic with how you deal with this type of people. But at the end of the day, when the majority is on your side, these type of people tend to fizzle out. I'll give another example. So there was another large project that I was working on with another co-PM. That co-PM ended up leaving, and she assumed the role in that project. Now, she was so used to me being a coordinator, and she tried so hard to actually keep me down as a coordinator, never highlighting any good work that I did. She always took the credits. But when she came on that project, this was where I was like, okay, no, you can't do that. No, you're going to have to do your share of documentation. No, you're going to have to do this, So she couldn't take it because she was a senior PM, and I was pretty much telling her what to do. I was basically not running the project, but I was onboarding her to the project and making it clear that, no, we are peers on this project. You can't go around and try to, start commanding and controlling like you're used to. We are all peers on this, and this is how it works, because, If no one, if we don't all do our share of the work, we have almost 10 different work streams on this project. So you can't just sit here and expect someone to do all the grunt work and then you sit up there and take the credit on everything. No. So I was willing to make, and I also escalated it a bit to the product owner for the project and also our PMO director. But I didn't go there saying, oh, she did this, she did that, she did that. Even though they wanted me to say that because they know she does that. But what I did was, hey, look at the challenges we're facing. When XYZ project manager was here, here's how we did things. But she's here and I recognize her strong suit is not A, B, and C. Why don't we find a solution to this? So I was a bit more objective with that rather than complaining about how she is, but they already know that's what it is, but we ended up finding more constructive solutions to that. And then the project ended up succeeding and we had a huge go live. She got her awards, I got my awards, and and it's one of those frenemy situation, for lack of a better term, that continues, but at least you made it work. And at that point, she respects you a whole lot more, but I don't necessarily 100% trust her, but there's that level of respect because I also recognize the things she was good at as well. Say, okay, she's good at like chasing down people and getting things done. Okay, let her handle that part, that kind of thing. And everyone sort of so everyone sort of figured out what they're good at, and then everyone went off and did that. And so that harmony, you go from that storming phase to that norming phase again, and then life goes on. Again, I'm not gonna pick up the phone and say, oh, hey, let's go get a drink. No, we're not on that level. But at least you've recognized the situation, you figured out how to solve it. Sometimes it's better to talk about it directly, but other times you just have to especially if you recognize your position and the hands you're dealt with in the game, you have to basically take a different approach. Maybe the indirect approach is better. So that's my 2 cents. I think I've said a lot, but hopefully some people take something out of that experience.
Thank you so much, Annie. That was a lot. I mean, we deal with these things every day. I used to work somewhere that before going to work, I would have to wake up in the morning and cry first before going to work. Of course, I was already plotting my way out of there. So it's a daily thing that we deal with. And the fact that we use facts to be objective and not be emotional, that's key. Ufoma.
Good evening. So I've had the same experience. And when I just joined my company, I had this team lead that was awful. And me now, somebody taught me Q, I learned it. So when Bintia was saying sometimes you're scared, yes, I couldn't really say anything because I learned the work, right? When they were talking about things like production, release, I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. Half of the time in the meetings, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm just sitting down. And then you have a team lead that is driving you crazy. Sometimes she will tell you that there was one particular day she came to my desk and told me to stand up from my seat, sat on my laptop and sent an email. I was so upset. But half of the time, most of the time I don't say anything. I even had to go and buy a recorder, put it in my pocket so that whenever she calls me, I'm not trying to record her because I want to report her, no, so that I will not miss anything she's saying. And some people were like, oh, go to HR. I'm like, what will I go and tell HR? I don't know anything about this work. I just started this work, right? And I don't want to lose my job. Then there was this meeting that we had one particular day, and there was this girl that was leaving and she was handing over to me her project. She gave me the document to read, and it was going to be an internal meeting between me, my team lead, and this other girl. And before my team lead walked in, I was telling the other girl, I'm not really ready. I've not really gone through this document that much like that. So the team lead walks in and she was like, oh, what are you guys talking about? And of course, the other girl was like, oh, she says she's not ready. Immediately, my team lead, she don't squeeze her face. She was already angry, getting moody. Well, we finished the meeting. She transferred knowledge and we left. Later on, my team lead, and this had been happening for months now. She was already driving me crazy and all that. There was this, then later on, my team leader calls me and says, so she wants to have one-on-one with me. And she said, oh, she's disappointed. She's this. I just went off. That's in all those months, I never used to say anything. I just went off on her and I told her, what kind of lead are you? If I can't come to tell you my issues, if I make a mistake in front of you, why can't I make a mistake in front of you anyway? Are you not my lead? If we go to the bigger meetings, right, and I make a mistake, then I will understand if you're angry. But if you're telling me we're having just the three of us, that's where I can make all my mistakes. I was so mad. I just gave her my Nigerian. I was raising my voice. And it got to one stage I realized that she was just on her phone typing. I had to bring myself down. Anyway, after that, like what the last speaker said, I just told myself that the best way to deal with this girl is to improve myself, to be the best at what I'm doing. That's the only way I can deal with her. Do you know that when it got to promotion, she was the one fighting for me to be promoted? When we had our one-on-ones, she said, oh, what she noticed is whenever it's like she knew what she was doing because she was just trying to frustrate me. She gave me a project she gave me like 2 projects to work on. I did not even know how to even test the application. Like 4 days to the end of it, she'll come to my desk, she's standing. So how is it going? And my mind, I'm like, going where? I don't even know what I'm doing. You understand? And then at the end of the day, she now said, oh, that she whenever she's angry or whatever, she noticed that I never used to say anything. I was just calm. That the only thing she used to notice that my face would just change because, man, I'm so mad, I'm so angry, but I never said a word to her. So I understand when someone will say, oh, when you just start a job, sometimes you get scared, especially if you learned the job. It's not something you've been doing forever. You just started doing that kind of job. You get scared in between. But like what the last speaker said, just try and be the best in whatever you're doing. Let your work speak for you. And that's what happened to me at the end of the day. That's all from me.
Thank you for now. There's really, I would say in the Scrum team, we should provide a safe environment where people can make mistakes and learn from it as long as they learn from it. But we shouldn't be, promoting the culture of not even encouraging mistakes. That's not, that's not okay. When you help someone grow, you buy their loyalty. So if we are the person making someone cry at work, then we should also improve on ourselves. Messy.
Okay. Ebele, thank you so much. I was driving, listening to your presentation, and I couldn't take notes, but I'm sure somebody is recording it, and I will go back and listen to it at a later time. But I just wanted to say that, from a healthcare professional perspective, people like this have personal issues that they're dealing with. It may not necessarily be you, it may not be, anybody else on the team, but they just kind of project their own, whether it's insecurity or personal problems that they have in their personal lives. They tend to project it on anyone that they find, especially in a closed working space like that. I had a similar situation many years ago, probably about 20 years ago. At the time, I had just started this new job, and this girl, this Black American girl, we were probably the only Black girls in that office. So you would think that we would bond, and form a coalition or something like that. But I guess because I was the only Nigerian, I later got to know that she saw me as a threat because we did the exact same kind of job. But obviously I outshine her because she was hired before me, but when I came, I worked as if I was, trying to get promoted the next day, which is what we do as Nigerians, But what this girl did was she formed a coalition with some of the other girls who were non-Blacks, and she had a clique. So everybody was kind of against me for no reason. They isolated me. And then she took it a step further. In that office, every week we come together as a team to give status report of what we had worked on that week. And in that team, we have our immediate supervisors, we have the CFO, and we have the coordinator and the manager. And it just so happens that whenever it was my time to give my status report, in the middle of a sentence, she would interrupt me and she would literally say, and I quote, she would say, I don't understand her accent. Do you guys understand her? Do you guys understand her? And she did this so much that at first I would feel embarrassed, I would feel sad, but meanwhile, the leadership, they're all sitting there, nobody cautioned her. And I wanted to play nice. So after work, I would go to the manager and said, listen, I don't understand why this lady is doing this, but you know, it's not healthy for me. And I don't know what I have to. I would like to have a conversation with her in presence of one of you so that she can say if there's anything I had done, because I had personally approached her and she couldn't tell me anything. And nobody wanted to do that because she was like a gangster. Obviously, everybody was afraid of her. And so it just, like you said earlier, Billy, I think you said that it got to a point that before I went to work every day, my heart was palpitating. Like my husband knew that I wasn't happy going to that job. In fact, he told me to quit. And I said, no, I'm not going to quit because of that lady. And so the final straw happened when we had another meeting. And unfortunately for her that day, the CEO was in the room. The moment I opened my mouth to give my status report, she interrupted me again. She said, I just don't understand her accent. I just don't understand her accent. Do you understand? She would literally go in, you know, one by one in the room asking people, do you understand her? And of course, the white people would say, yes, they do. So when she did it that day, I said to myself, I have to put a stop to this. And I took a deep breath. I looked at the CEO and I said, sir, you will excuse me what I'm about to do. Everybody kind of just sat up. And I looked her straight in the face and I called her name. I said, Anna, I just want you to know that I speak proper English. And unfortunately, you can't understand me because you speak Ebonics. And I don't speak Ebonics. So you will have to go and learn English so that you can understand me. Let me tell you, when I probably would not have done that today, you know, but at that time, that was the only way I could handle the situation. It was just, the bullying was so palpable. It was so apparent that nobody did anything about it, right? I don't know what she had on them, but with the CEO in the room, I had to do what I had to do. And I'm sorry to say that the next day, they let her go. Because apparently so many other people had had the same experiences with her. Some people had quit because of that lady. So I had to take it, you know, I had to take care of myself, basically. I had to just do what I had to do. So bottom line is, such people have personal issues. Either they see you as a threat or they see you as a competition because she had been in that job before me. We do the same thing and I was outshining her. I mean, you know, so like Bintia said earlier, I will speak up. I will document everything because documentation is the heart and soul of everything. And if the immediate leadership don't do anything about it, I'll take it to HR with my documentation. That's what I will do. Thank you. That's my 2 cents.
Nice one, Mercy. Nice one. Documentation. You can't catch me at fault with documentation. Before I say anything, I always bring forth my documentation.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love facts.
Right.
I can't file words. My manager told me that a long time ago. You cannot file words, but you can file emails or what has been documented. So you need to document things for purposes like this.
Yeah.
MC.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the presentation. And I just wanted to say that it's such an interesting topic, and there's so much to unfold when you're dealing with conflict. So I heard a lot of from the people who share their experience with situations that they have on work and stuff like that. So I just want to say, like, first, conflict is split into two. And when we're looking at it from a Scrum Master perspective, I think it's important, especially when we're embodying the words like empathy and servant leader, they expect us to have some level of understanding people, because we're working with teams, we're working with different personalities, like you said. There's different personality types. And from the culture that we're raised in, from what we see here, people are operating from different deep-rooted problems. So, for example, I had the opportunity to train the staff at a coffee franchise, Happy Goat. And all of the training was around conflict and handling difficult customers and difficult people and still maintaining yourself, separating it, not getting emotionally invested in what's going on, and being able to actually having an unbiased, non-judgmental perspective when you're approaching people. And some of the strategies that people suggested tonight is great, but when we're operating from an empathy perspective, we have to keep in mind that, okay, this person is behaving this way because maybe childhood trauma. So now the question is it my job to be a therapist here? No, but as a Scrum Master, there's an expectation of me to be able to handle conflict from a deep-rooted perspective. So my strategies are not going to be like every other person's strategy. Like, my strategy is not going to be like, for lack of better words, like a layman's strategy, whereas, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We all know that. We can find those stuff on the internet. And it's kind of sad because companies expect you to be therapists. They expect you to be a therapist. They expect you to see somebody behaving a certain way and read deeper into their behavior and try different strategies of approaching this person. So you mentioned sometimes, and I was happy when you brought it up, the last speaker, Mercy, I think, when she brought up that, oh yeah, maybe she was dealing with something different. Like, if I insert myself in this, when I draw an example, like, I grew up with 6 siblings, so we were extremely competitive. So I am competitive by nature, and not everything is a competition. It's not, my approach will be different, but I have to understand when operating in a space with other people, I have to expect that people's feelings, my opinion, the way I interpret things might be entirely different. Anyways, my whole thing is that when we're approaching conflict, we have to do it from a non-biased, really non-judgmental perspective. And it's hard to, it's very, very difficult to do, because you almost have to be so oblivious to the person character, like not read into anything, like just pretend that you did not understand that she was trying to be manipulative, or she was trying to be vindictive, and those sort of things. You actually have to go in with the most empathetic eyes possible and just always see that the innocence in these people, which is not something that we all can do, or not something that we're capable of doing, but absolutely it's some skills that we can build on, just to actually listen to the person and just to kind of get to know the person deeper. Sometimes we see people behaving, oh, me, let me run to the boss. I mean, this could just be a way of them trying to secure their position or trying to, build loyalty. But in the end, they're actually undermining their team. So by just learning people character and trying to approach them with different strategies is a good way. And I always try to do the 5C approach, and you guys can Google it after, to resolving conflict. And I know most of the time when people face addressing the elephant in the room, we mentioned lack of fear, and the fear comes from the approach. We don't know how what's the best way to approach this. We don't know. And I saw Fumi draw an example. Like she said, I don't like cats, but my team members, some of them have like so much cats. But here I am, I'm facilitating the meeting. Everybody can bring their cat on Zoom, and I'm going to be like, oh, wow, your cat is so pretty. So a way of just handling everybody differently based on their personality and trying to lure them into the whole issue of trust. Most of the time people are like, okay, well, how can I trust this person? An example is like, okay, my manager said he has an open door policy, and I went in and I complained, and then all of a sudden I have reduced shifts. Do I trust this person? Absolutely not. So even matching our actions to what we're saying, being open, understanding, even though we think the idea is ridiculous, the person is stupid, they're just toxic, we try to get to know them better. And it's very tasking, by the way, but it's just something that we have to prepare ourselves to do. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, MC. As Scrum Masters, we are not supposed to be shrinks for everybody's personal life affair. Like she said, 1 or 2 personal, maybe childhood trauma you're dealing with, that means you have some elephants in your life that you are yet to address, and that is affecting how you relate with others, even at work. Now, as a Scrum Master, your team dynamics is basically how your team relates in terms of behavior relationship amongst themselves. So you may not be a friendly person, or you are a great coworker. It just depends on what value you are bringing to your team and how much in alignment you are making the team. So if you're one of those people that make the team uncomfortable, we should address it because it's the work. There was an example. I've had multiple examples. I'll get back to you, please. Just hold on a minute. I have had multiple examples of work conflicts. And in this scenario, it was in Nigeria. I was working in UBA. The operations manager of the branch where I was, a low performing branch, we could never just meet any budgets in terms of our goals. We never realized the goals. The business manager of the branch was toxic. The operations manager of the branch was toxic. So that also affected, imagine our output. Our output was toxic to the organization. And it got to a point where we could no longer work with the operations manager. We heard she was related to the CEO. Like, is that the reason for the attitude? Nobody was anything before this lady talked down on anyone, even in front of customers. It got to the point, the entire team in that branch held a meeting after work just to address her issues, and we ganged up. Our initial gang up was trying to address her directly. It didn't work. We took a different strategy, documenting it and escalating. We got help. When we got help, they covered it up. Because we escalated to her boss, they covered it up. And because her boss covered it up, we went a step further. It was a wrong approach, going above her boss's boss. We went that way and escalated up to the MD's office. That was where we got the attention we were seeking. And a lot of warnings went out, but they had to set up a committee to look into the issue. It was that serious. When you don't address conflicts, when the committee started with the issue, a lot of politics started flying here and there. But one day, at the meeting of the MD and the CEOs, right there, he said, I heard she's my cousin. Is that why she's slapping someone? Well, forget that. This is a business space, and I will not promote such a culture. And then just called the HR person and said, I want you to conduct an exit interview for her immediately. We were rejoicing just the way we're dancing up and down in Nigeria the day Abacha died. It was that bad for a team member. So it's very toxic not to address such issues where you have a cabal that is not addressed. We should work around it officially, going through, like I said, involve HR, because a lot of times emotions get into these things. Ify.
Hi, Billy. Thanks. It's been a great presentation this evening. My question was for MC. I just wanted to understand the perspective from which you were speaking. Were you speaking as a Scrum Master, being in a conflict situation yourself personally with a colleague, and that's how you would handle issues? Or were you speaking as a Scrum Master handling conflict situations between your colleagues? I mean, between your team members.
Yeah, I was speaking from both perspectives. So initially as a Scrum Master, I guess when you join a new team, of course, people are going to be like withdrawal from you because they don't know who you are. They don't know why you're there. People are threatened. They're going to lose their position. There's so many reasons why people could develop attitude. And we walk around with unconscious, I guess, biases. We have predetermined opinions about people. We might see somebody and I'll be like, oh, nice blouse. And she'll be like, I know. And then I will just assume this person is conceited. And I won't comment to them anymore. And I will develop an attitude towards that person. So I was coming at it from that perspective. So initially for yourself, okay, this team, I'm new to this team. And if I'm new, if it was me in their situation, what would I do? How would I feel? And I think that's what Fumi was talking about with empathy. And I also believe that maybe that's why this question keeps coming up in interviews. How do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with conflict? You know, because they want to know, they want to make sure that we can actually deal with people, because people are from all walks of life. We have different beliefs, we have different ideologies, we just go on in our different ways. So, you know, just developing trust and loyalty among team members, it's something that is quite challenging. And then there's different strategies that you have to use. But we're on approach is like just being empathetic, number one, knowing, saying, okay, well, I'm new and they're going to feel this way. If it was me, somebody new come in, I might feel threatened by their position. Also outside perspective, like somebody mentioned, there were the only 2 Black people there. Outside perspective, like Black people, we, because of like the society that we're in, we tend to, all our history has led us to be competitive with each other. So immediately you see another Black person, you're like, oh my God, the expectation is that we're going to be competitive, or we're going to be aggressive, or we're going to be this, or we're going to be that. So even just understanding like maybe this girl's behavior is like this because she feels that I am her competition. How do I get her to know that we're a team? How do I get her to understand me better? What is it exactly that you don't understand in my accent? What is an accent? Everybody has an accent, you know? So even just stuff like that. And then if team members are having conflict, how do you deal with it? Understanding both team member perspective, not even taking a side, like, yeah, you're right, this person is also right, and actually listening to what they're saying. Because sometimes people say, oh yeah, I don't like this person because of this. And then from it, what they're trying to say is that I don't understand this person and I feel threatened. So how am I going to deal with it? So just getting the deeper story. And sometimes too, it's just taking out the stories like, oh, she's related to the boss, that's why she's yelling. Does it really matter? Maybe she's yelling because she feels that she's not being heard. So what approach I'm going to use towards this person? So anyways, that's a perspective I was talking from.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. MC, thank you so much. She's correct in terms of you need to study people. Scrum Masters should be emotionally mature. You can't be judgmental or be taking sides. That's why you are, you know, a lot of companies pay facilitators huge money just because they ought to be not biased, and be able to provide objective feedback to the team. So for Scrum Masters, we should know when you should know your team members, know the ones that when they are talking, oh, that's a fake laugh, or oh no, she's not telling the truth, or I think they're just trying to gang up against this person. You just study your team. These things take time as well. But if you have issues, you can always, confirm that it is actually an issue. Let it not be in your imagination. Confirm with the person, do we have an issue? I felt this way about this or that. Did you think that as well? Always confirm, not just based on assumptions. Bukola.
Thank you for the presentation. And I want to say it's timely because right now at work, this is my present situation. My PO, we're supposed to work together, but somehow I believe strongly that she thinks I'm in competition with her. We have distinct roles. She's PO, I'm Scrum Master. None of us is going to replace the other. So when I came on board, I asked her for, you know, um, an explanation of the products they're working on. I asked for a product roadmap, and I was just they don't do documentation. The kind of question and answer she was giving, and then recently the daily stand-ups. She says, well, daily stand-up is the only time she has to get status report from offshore members, and then she's going to go. The daily stand-up is about 45 minutes, and they discuss stuff and all that. When I observed that, I recommended an agile overview, and I did schedule that and went over that with the team, with the RTE and agile coach in attendance. After the session, her feedback was that, well, 15 minutes is not enough for stand up, and she doesn't work for scrum.org, and that's how she wants to conduct her stand up. That is when she can have status reports. Then the RTE was like, well, I have to be patient with her, and that's how she's run her thing, and it's worked for her over time, so I'll have to be patient with her. Then so like yesterday, that was Tuesday, she now told me, she came to my Slack channel, she came to me in Slack that she's not going to be around, that can I run the stand-up? I said, sure. And when I said sure, she now came back to say, thank you, my dear. And I was like, that position starting to come at me with that. Someone that wants to, Yorubas will say, someone that wants to put your head under their armpits, coming to tell me, my dear. So I was like, okay. So I ran the stand up the normal way. There's this view in Jira, the assignee view, that brings up everything each person is working on at once. So I now told the team that, okay, we're going to go around. You're going to tell us what you did yesterday, what you plan on working on today, and if you have any impediments. So, of course, the team was very happy. You can see that there were 3 people that usually turn on their cameras. They were waiting. Usually on our own stand-up, nobody turns on camera. And I don't too. Because I did it once, and I was the only one that turned on my camera. So when she takes it, I don't turn on my camera. I support 2 teams. The other team do theirs as well. But our own, I don't turn on my camera then. So the team went round, spoke about what they, did that normally. And they just tagged, you look at the list and tag the person after you. So the stand-up ran smoothly for 15 minutes. And I told them about how I've sent them the link for the retro, spoke about the retro, and I closed the meeting. When she came back, today, she was like, the first thing that I noticed happened, I had retro for the other team today. Her own retro is on Friday. And I noticed the link for my meeting did not work. So I quickly edited. Thankfully, I logged in 5 minutes before. So I quickly edited the invite and put the meeting in my own personal WebEx room. And we ran normally. I now discovered after that meeting that all my meeting links did not work. I don't want to put it to her. I don't want to say she's the one, but I'm seeing some things. Then with the next team as well, today at their stand-up, after the retro went well, the stand-up, the link didn't work. I had to put the product owner, we had to use the personal room of the product owner of the other team. Then after that one, the board, the Jira board for the next team, the name of that board was changed. So many mischief, but the thing about the other team was that they understood, Bukola, just take your time. No worries, we'll investigate this. Another developer said, I'll share my screen. He shared his own screen and we went, through that meeting. So, and I want to ask this question. Today also was their sprint planning. And what I know about sprint planning is that the Scrum Master will share a screen and ask what stories are not going to be finished this sprint that are going over to the next sprint. And those stories will be identified and I'll take them over to the next sprint. And then I'll stop sharing and then she will share the sprint goal and take it on from there. The Agile coach was in attendance and she starts to share her screen like we're fighting for position. So I left her. She shared her screen and was going story by story. Then the Agile coach was like, no, you need to ask the question, what stories? We can't wait here and be doing one story after the other. Well, she told the Agile coach that's how she does it. The Agile coach said, no, you will ask this question. We can't wait for story after story. Before the lead dev now started, talking the normal way. How do I handle this character? That's my question for the house.
For this kind of question or this kind of issue, we're going to throw it to the guys at the top in the house. Annie, we recognize you. We'll come to you later. So please, guys at the top in the house, can you help?
Bukola.
Yes, miss.
Okay. She's a product owner, is that correct?
Yes, she is.
Who's her?
Senior product owner.
Who's her manager?
I'll have to check because I'm not
check with the manager. And I'm not saying report her or anything, but we need to come to an agreement. It's not if the Scrum Master and the product owner are not in sync, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
And you have facts. That's where you come in with facts to say, these are the facts that I have. The team is overwhelmed. The team doesn't feel like part of the team. You do these are things that we can make it short. The reason why we do Agile is we want to cut off a lot of time and we want developers to work, actually do the work. But when we take so long in meetings, it drags. So why are we doing Agile? Let's go scrap Agile and go and do waterfall. because you've tried to talk to her one-on-one, she's not reasoning. Look for who's our manager, set up a meeting with the three of you in the room. She will hate you, but maybe eventually she'll be able to see reason because you've tried reaching her, but it's not sinking in. Look for someone that is her leader. You were hired to do a job in that organization. And you are supposed to work together as a team. And I know you've had one-on-one with her already. It's even a struggle to get time on her calendar to start with. So me, I'll look for someone that is higher above to say, hi, my name is XYZ. I'm new to the team. However, I would need your support. I work with XYZ and I want us to have a 3-man discussion. How do we move the team further? Yes, you're the product owner. There's no hierarchy in Agile. Everyone has a say. And if we're not in sync, it's going to affect the team. What's the reason why we're all here? To deliver value. There's no hierarchy. If we keep doing this, what if we lose good developers with this way we're going? Nobody's going to be available to do the work for you if you lose your good developers. Because you've spoken to your manager, they're saying, handle her, that's how she does things. So who can talk to her? Who can channel things? Have your facts ready. Don't go there with just word of mouth. No. Have your facts ready. We spend 45 minutes. That 45 minutes, if we do 15 minutes, the team has 30 minutes back. That 30 minutes, they can use it to develop 4 lines of code, 5 lines of code, and that can reduce the number of work we have in a sprint that they need to deliver. We keep moving stories sprint to sprint. Is that correct?
Yes.
How do we get better? Yes, we have retrospective where we talk about these things. But when we don't carry the team along and when we spend too much time in meeting, there has to be an agenda. We do Agile. It's not status update. That's why you're a product owner and you're present at every of the events that is going on. All the ceremonies, you're part of it. You need to find someone that can reach her.
Okay.
First of all, you're not new in this role. You have your years of experience that you bring on board. There's no hierarchy. We need to find a common ground. You don't have to like me, but we have to work together to support the team and deliver value. The only way we can grow is feedback. These are the feedback I've gotten from the team. These are the things I have observed as well. I have worked in other organizations. We've gotten value. Why don't we try this? It's Agile, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we always inspect and adapt. But doing things the old way will not give us good results. That's my 2 cents. That's what I will try. Let's hear from any other person. It's open. Everyone has an opinion, guys. It doesn't matter whether we're doing Scrum or Agile. We've all worked in different organizations. How would you better handle this situation? Let's Bukola here.
Annie, do you want to support anything Bukola is saying, or we can still hold on you while we address Bukola, please? Or if you have something to say, then you can unmute and go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ebele. I had stepped away briefly when Bukola was speaking, so I won't be able to provide a good feedback on Busala's situation.
Okay,
But
thank you.
yeah.
I'll call you. Okay, anyone, any insights for Bukola, please? She has a office bully. Yeah, I can see Ishta's hand. Okay, Ishta.
Hi guys. Thank you so much for that session, Abeli's, the presentation. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, did you already try to just sit down one-on-one with her and establish what your kind of working relationship will be, kind of, you know, through your onboarding process? Did you guys talk about how you would work together? Or is it just from the get-go that she's been this way and you know, are obviously kind of dealing with the situation based on what you're telling us. Because maybe it's just like, you know, it's exactly how it is, just addressing the elephant in the room. Before, you know, obviously Fumi's mentioned, you know, obviously not escalating it to be a snitch or anything, but just escalating it to get support from her manager. But before that, like, you would need to ensure that you've try to tackle that situation yourself and sit down with her and just say, look, and I know obviously you're mentioning that she's saying, oh, we do it this way, we do it that way, because you've tried to mention obviously how the stand-up should be, or obviously the agile coach mentioned how, you know, you can't go through the stories individually. So instead of telling her kind of it shouldn't be like this and it should be like this, taking a different approach of just how are we going to work together to ensure that our team delivers the most value, like coming in with that stupid thing that sometimes you have to do, massaging the ego and all that shit I want to say, but basically like coming in and kind of making it out like, okay, so I see you have a lot of knowledge obviously on the project, and I just want to see how we can add value, how can we make them work best, how can we, you know, show it to stakeholders above like that what we're doing is fantastic, be, you know, examples to the rest of the company, like finding a way to kind of almost reverse psychology her to not seeing you as a threat and telling her that the way she's doing things aren't the way it should be done. But okay, this, you know, I have some suggestions, maybe they would work. I think the way you're doing it is fantastic, but exactly like Fumi's saying, come in with the numbers. If we can manage to just do 15 minutes for the daily stand-up, and then we can do 15 minutes for, you know, parking lot, anything that, you know, you want to address, you know, maybe then that would be good. That would save them this many minutes a day, this much a week, this much a month, like coming in there and showing her kind of objectively what value you could save by working together, making her believe that it's her kind of idea almost, but that you're kind of chipping in, and then eventually maybe she will let her guard down and start to respect you, because as much as she might have this approach where she acts like she knows everything and your ideas aren't good, she would have to come to that realization, admit that actually you are bringing value to her team and that it works. Two heads are better than one, and working in sync is better than working, you know, on two different paths that are parallel, you know. So I don't know if you've tried that, but just sitting down, giving her that little, yeah, like what MC's saying, a little bit of ego massage and just playing the game. I hate to say it. And then if that doesn't work, just get support from further above, and in a nice way where you're not like what I think it was Annie, right? When whose story was it? I think it was Annie, or was it she? Sorry, there's so many stories that I'm losing. But whoever it was that mentioned present, instead of going off and running your mouth, like kind of presenting the facts and kind of like, look, I've tried to work with this PO. There's just things that aren't working well. You know, the way that we do agile, the way we do Scrum. You know, we could be delivering value a little bit more. Kind of going in that approach, not going in to say like, you know, she's not listening to me or anything. Which I know you wouldn't. You obviously are intelligent enough to know that, but. Yeah, I mean, have you tried just sitting down with her one-on-one in that sense? That would be my approach, and I guess my question back to you.
Yeah, thank you. In the past, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did reach out to her, like, can I put time on her calendar? And she replied that she's very busy. And right today, she has 4 minutes, and I will need to say what I want to say within 4 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
So
She's
one was like, okay,
she's mean.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So
maybe just
I spent the four
try.
minutes to tell her that we need 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think you need to
When
either
can
then
we
just.
meet for 30 minutes? Because this is what I'm going to tell you these 4 minutes. 4 minutes is not enough to do what I want us to do.
So sorry,
So we
you
got
said
the
that
30
back to her.
minutes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
So we got the 30 minutes. And I was asking about the product roadmap, for her to explain the product. She said, well, she doesn't have a roadmap, but she can verbally explain what it is, but they don't have a particular product. It's a break and fix thing that they work on different things and all of that. So she explained all that. I recorded the conversation, so I was able to go back and document what she said. So I know it's going to take time, but these mischievous things that I'm seeing, my meeting link not working, all of those things. I think that's a bit on the
Okay, so
Gardenstein side, and
yeah, I
I
would
don't
suggest then just, I mean, kind of just really asserting yourself and just put, don't pull her up about it, but just call it out and just say, oh, I just want to mention to you, like something weird is happening with my links, like they're not working. And then you'll just catch her off guard and you'll get the real reaction. You're not coming in a challenging or like a battling way, but just catching her off guard so unexpectedly and saying, listen, I'm having an issue, links keep not working. Did you change that document title on Jira, or just something like that, and not aggressively, obviously, but just in a way that it will just like, you'll get an immediate kind of answer to your question, and then the behavior will either stop or it will give you the evidence to see like, okay, documenting this, because in your kind of personal files, you would obviously be documenting all the different approaches, like the one you told us now about putting time on her calendar. No, I'm busy, 4 minutes. So just again, like I would just go in one more time and just say, I need some time on your calendar. It's not to understand the project or anything. It's because I feel like we need to find the best way of working together to deliver value. And if she doesn't want to do it, that's it. It's over. You just go to the next person above her and try to get an approach in a nice, soft way. Again, look, I'm trying to approach this manager, this product owner, sorry, and I just can't seem to see how we're going to be able to deliver value if I'm not able to do what I do best. And that's it. Going in with the facts, talking about the times you've tried to put time on her calendar, and not just leave those little details, because obviously you don't have proof that it's maybe her that's changed a thing or the link's not working. Just accepting that you will not get the answer to that because it's not a fact yet. But going in with the facts that you do have and presenting a case to say, I'm here because I want to deliver value. I'm here because I want to allow my team to grow. I'm here because I'm all for relentless improvement and seeing the best ways of working. I've observed ways that are anti-patterns. I've observed situations that could be done differently to, minimize waste, minimize time loss, maximize, the team delivering. And I've sought out the opportunities to try and work with the product owner to get us in sync, to get us to do the best we can, and it's not working. Do you have any suggestions? How does this work for me? That's what I would do, because it's just going to take too much. It's going to start draining your mental. Just that example you gave us now of the mischievous things, that's her or something already in your head. That's a little seed that's planted that's going to start growing, and it's going to start affecting you if it continues this way, so you need to just like nip it in the bud and just deal with it. Just be courageous. You have it in you, so you can do this. Take the facts and do what you need to do. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isha.
No problem.
Buddy?
Yeah, sorry. I didn't hear you on time.
Yeah.
Sorry, can everyone hear me? Good evening, everyone.
Loud and clear.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to chip one or two things. Basically, there are people like that. It's a kind of a mindset thing. I don't know how long she's been there, and I don't know how long you've been there. But people are just very reluctant to changes. It's not because they set out from the beginning that they're going to be reluctant to changes. That's human nature. We just want to do things the way we've always done them. And if somebody comes along and wants to change that, we always want to resist. Yeah, that's the right word, resist. I'll give an instance. While I was back home in Nigeria, our company wanted to move into ISO certification. So the processes we're using to do things was going to change. And deep down within me, I had no way I'm buying this. We've always delivered when we needed to deliver. Why bring this new thing? So when they were saying afar off, that was my mindset. But when they started, the guy in charge, when he approached me and explained the purpose, the plan, it made a whole lot of sense. And I bought into it. So in the same vein, I'm thinking maybe you need to have a conversation with her that does not necessarily have to be all work. Try to understand her. Try to see things from her own perspective. Try to gain her trust. I'm sure she just feels, okay, this is the person that is coming to turn the whole table upside down. I think that's a mindset. I may be wrong. Some people are born devil. You can't rule them out. But if she's that kind of a person that just needs somebody to, okay, we are the powers that be here, and you must respect that. And massage the head just to make sure that she understands, okay, we are both in this company because the company is doing well and they believe we can add value. If we are loggerhead with each other, there's no way we can have that value, and the company will be losing. And if the company loses, eventually they will find out that it comes down to our table, and both of us will probably get fired, or something will happen that won't be in our best interest. I think that would be the best approach. Go talk to her outside of maybe, okay, work, okay, this is the way things ought to be done, it must be done like that. Let's leave that aside just to understand what our mindset is exactly. Then with that, if you gain our trust, if you gain our attention, then you can now start bringing the work in so that she sees it from another perspective. Not the perspective, okay, you're just coming to turn around the whole thing upside down. That's my two cents. I hope it helps.
All right. I'll try that.
Thank you, Bode. Bintia.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add, Bukola, that you're very composed, and anybody that sees you like this will feel intimidated. So I think she's seeing you as a rival, and I don't feel intimidated by her. I don't know how long you've worked with her.
This is my first month.
Oh, is this your first month?
Yeah.
It's too early to report her to her boss, I think.
Yes,
I mean, for me, I think
it's
yeah.
It's your first. I think you're forgetting that you haven't been there a long time. Yes.
Yeah, it's too early to report to her boss. What I want you to do, suggest that you do is this. Whether she likes it or not, what do you say is her role again? The PO?
Yes, product owner.
Yeah. So what I will do is to schedule a weekly meeting with her, two of us, so she can't run away from me. Okay. I want to be meeting with you every week, so we can plan what we are doing with the team. So we go there as a team. That's the Scrum Master, and the PO goes to the team as a team, because we want to refine. I want to know how you want us to do, what you want us to do. So she now feels empowered that you are deferring to her. Okay. I want us to be in sync, so we present to our team the same idea. I don't want you to be saying something and I'm saying something else. So it's too early, just approach her. And if you can write out a plan of, this is what I'm looking at us doing as a team. What do you think? I'm open to your own idea. And I know you've been doing this job for a long time. There are certain things that I can learn from you. And I also know some of my previous experience. Maybe if it will also work with you, I can also suggest it. So let's come meet at, let's work towards something that will be beneficial to the team. So let her know where you are coming from, because most of us Nigerians, we're overqualified. And when they see it, they feel threatened sometimes. And when we talk with so much confidence, and they feel threatened. A lot of them have these positions, but they can't even speak to that position. They may be able to speak without accent, but when you go to a meeting with them, you find that they lack analytical skills. And when they see you analyzing an issue and you're looking at it from a different perspective, they feel threatened. So just put it together in writing And let her, at the beginning, let her be the one taking all the glory. And then after some time, then you show her that you're a Nigerian.
That's what
Time,
Oh
right?
my God.
I want to add something to what Bean here said. But don't ask her for time anymore. Go and look for her calendar. Find one slot, 30 minutes. Start with
Every
it.
week.
Throw it there, and then I'll tell her that, hi. Send her a message to say, hi, I did send you a 30 minutes invite just to have a PO sync every week. It's once a week.
Okay.
And that we can always inspect and adapt after the first one. And this is what she has to say.
All right. I'll do that.
God help us with those kind of people.
Yes.
Yeah, I've worked with them. I've worked with
Thank
them
you.
extensively. And,
Don't
On the
forget to
lighter side,
document
on
it
the
though.
positive side, the other team is doing fantastic. They submitted 95%, accepted stories 95%. Retro was nice. Feedback was good. Voting was, everybody was on board. So with the other team, I'm so happy with them. I have the reports exported to PDF on ideas board and shared it after the retro. And that was good. That was a good one. So
you have a win. Who's the PO
Yeah.
on that team?
the PO on that team is an African American man, very, very refined gentleman, and going along, ready to learn. And he's been a dev man for many years, and he's been with the same company for years. Very, very pleasant.
Do they
And willing
have
to
a
learn. I told
relationship?
him, I coached him on story writing.
Mhm.
He changed the way business brings requirements right away. After I did the story coaching with him, he escalated to business fast. And no, they can't be writing us all those technical jargons anymore. And business agreed to write in plain English, requirements in plain English. And the developers owned up that they didn't really understand the requirements that they were bringing before. And now they understand. He's able to write the stories simply, and they were able to submit to accept 95% of the stories.
That's a good win.
So that's a good one for the other team. So
What about the PO on
well
that
done
other
team.
team? Does he have a
Yeah.
relationship with her?
Yeah, when they go to PO Sync and all of that, they know her. The whole organization know her. So he's like, well, good luck with you and Ruchi. She has a lot in her head, but she has a way of communicating it. So maybe as a coach, you can bring it out from her. Good luck.
So they know her
That's
in the organization.
Yeah.
A Scrum Master should know how to play politics as well. So she's a cabal. You have to work with her. But I would suggest that you send her a sweet email expressing your support, and that's documented how you are offering your help, and then let her know you're going to be dropping. Well, like Coach said, the time for the meeting. Then for the IT one, let's just not assume. Let's maybe shoot a mail to the IT for them to maybe check it so you are sure where the issue is coming from, and if something they can remedy, and if it's not, it's also documented. These things you may need them in the future, but not at the moment, because she looks like for you to win her, you're going to put in a lot of efforts. But there are some times where you know that this is not going to work, but it's not yet time to know that.
Sure. For the meeting link, I've done that. I've cancelled all the meetings in that series and done another one. I've tested the links and all that. That series work right now because I did that by close of work today. So I, took out everything, all the stand-ups I did till the end of the year. I took out the whole series and did another one.
Okay, all right, guys. It's 9:01 p.m. and that's official closing time to this session. The parking lot starts now. So we can go ahead and continue with the question and answer series for those who are still willing to tag along with us. Thank you. All right. I have MC and Ufoma. Annie, please be patient. Let's see. Let's take these two and then we'll go to Annie. MC.
Yeah, I was just gonna chime in and say, Binta idea is really good. Sometimes we just need to take just massage people's ego a little bit, and sometimes people feel like they contribute a lot to organization and then they don't get the recognition. And with a Scrum approach and I guess Agile approach is that you're coming in to make changes and redefine the way the company operates. So people are threatened by that. So even just complimenting her and saying, when she make comments like, well, that's the way we've been doing it. You say, yeah, and you have done an excellent job for all these years and your contribution has taken the company this far. And I'm happy to learn a lot from you. Can we try this to see if we might just have like some kind of increase in productivity or increase in this, that we don't spend this time? Are you willing to experiment with me? Like things like that. And in terms of like her time, sometimes, and I know it's like tasking because you shouldn't have to do all that. You think you're working with mature adults and they're going to be professional, but unfortunately, that's not always the case. So getting time from her, you might have to take an unconventional approach and just get her in the lunchroom. Have lunch at the same time where you guys are sitting and chit chat and try to get to know her so that, your work can be a little bit easier. So that's what I wanted to say. Like, not all the time the ways we know my work. So even just getting the person in the lunchroom, or even the washroom, be like, hey, might be just a little snippet of just grabbing some of her time and just trying to get to know her a little bit better.
Thank you, MC.
Thank you.
Ufoma.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that the daily Scrum, is it only the developers that give updates? The Scrum Master can also give an update, right?
Update on what?
So just like when you put time on her calendar, you can just say, hey, part of your update is I added time on your calendar today for us to talk about this or that.
No, I've never done that with her.
Okay. And then also when it comes to knowledge transfer, you really don't need her that much. You can look for someone on your team, like one of the developers that you think is friendly enough and just say, hey, can you help me out on this? I just need to know more, because they too are very knowledgeable.
No,
You might just find someone.
I won't go to her for any knowledge, anything.
Yeah.
I think is what I need her to do is like, okay, we had iteration planning.
Yeah.
We should have our own plan before we go there and go and be messing up in front of everybody. That's what I usually want to do with her. Let's sync up and okay, this is what we're doing. I just decided I did my capacity planning. I was looking, okay, she would come to me for things if she needs it. So I got everybody's leave off the calendar, the ones that put their leaves on the calendar. And I was looking at her. So when she needed it, she said I should send her capacity. She didn't put her own leave on the calendar. So I now put out the Excel sheet for everybody to fill in their holiday.
Yeah.
It was at that time, she's asking me for capacity, but she didn't put her own leave. So I was just like, okay, you know what? You will come to me when you need the things. So I let her be. So today when she told me she needed capacity, okay, I sent out the Excel. Everybody started filling. She couldn't fill email. She came to fill Slack. She now gave me her own on Slack because that email is transparent. Everybody will see that she's just giving leave today when she's asking for capacity. But I put it there for her. I put everybody's own and sent it to her by close of work today. Because that's when I said I would send it to her. But we're supposed to have done that.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have think of that, okay, this is what we're doing. We'll get capacity, we'll do this, blah, blah, blah. But since she's the one that we know everything, okay, I'm here waiting for you. Ask me what you need. I will give you.
You have to find a way to break her. You have
That's
to.
it. You really have to. I still feel that you can, I don't know, because I think even the Scrum Masters, sometimes too, they have updates during stand-ups. I think so.
Yeah, that's
You,
correct. Sometimes you
yeah,
can
you
have
can just
updates.
say,
Yeah.
hey, part of, because I do that at work. Some
Mhm.
of my
Okay.
updates is just to say, I've scheduled a meeting for us to do this.
Mhm.
That's an
Yeah.
update. So you can just say, hey,
Okay.
throw it out there, let everybody hear that
Right.
I've scheduled a meeting on your calendar for tomorrow,
Yes.
you know.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, say, just a reminder, my update is that me and you are meant to talk again tomorrow. That's it. Just put it there.
Yeah.
You've sent an email
All right.
and then you're saying it again.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
All right.
Yes, because usually when you want to meet with the team, you can also tell them, hey guys, I'm going to schedule one-on-one and I'm going to throw time on your calendar. Please look out for the invites on your calendar. You can talk about it there. So yes.
Okay.
And then some of the action items that you have from retro might be one that you need to follow up to. So you're constantly giving them updates. Or
yeah,
there's an impediment that you're working and trying to solve with the team. You're giving them updates on it too as well. So yes, you would also have updates. So it's a good place to actually throw it on. Transparency, Abby. Throw it open.
okay.
Let her know. That way, there's no excuse that she didn't hear it.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Foma, thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much, everyone. Annie, thank you for your patience. So let's take Annie.
Thanks, Abele, again. This has been such a great session and everyone has contributed very nicely. I had a follow-up question for MC, and I think she may have answered my question. This was, she made a very good point about empathy. And, in theory, most people understand, okay, you need to be, empathetic and understand where people are coming from and such. But it's one thing to understand that, but being able to take your understanding and apply it to resolving that conflict situation is another thing. And I was gonna ask for an example, but she gave the washroom example right there, and I think it finally clicked. Like basically, it's more like you gathering information about that person, and for instance, like the deep rooted issues they may have had growing up and how that's basically acting out and playing out as a conflict in front of everyone. And then you take what you've learned, like, okay, this person feels insecure about this. So don't take an approach that makes that further, that pokes at that insecurity. Or, this person is a very shy person and okay, let's do something, let's address that situation accordingly. It basically informs the steps you take to address the situation. And MC, I just wanted to confirm with you or clarify if that's the right way to think about it.
Yeah, it's actually the right way to think about it. And a lot of times, like, we get frustrated because it's like almost like you have to mommy everybody, in the sense that you get burdened with having to consider everybody's issue for them and deal with it,
Right.
and you have your own stuff going on too. So it's like, oh, why do I have to be the bigger person all the time? But I
Right.
think as a Scrum Master, they expect you to have all these tools where your approach is going to be different, right? And you're going to learn to work with people. Some companies, they have people who have invested years with the organization and they don't want to lose them. And they know their attitude.
Right.
I'm pretty sure we all have walked in a workplace where they're like, yeah, this person is just like that. And everybody have learned to deal with this person just the way they are. And is it right? No, but there's a reason why they allow this person to be the way they are, right? So we just
Right.
have to find ways to work with these people that we encounter. I mean, it's sad, but it's just the way it is.
Right. I think this is a smart approach though, because it cuts the trial and error of various solutions towards, conflict resolution. And you're more informed about what to use, and it just speeds up the process of arriving to at a solution, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it from me. Thanks so much again.
Okay, so MC, I want you to introduce yourself to the house and what you do.
Well, now I'm trying to be a Scrum Master, but I studied conflict studies, so that's one of the reasons why I know a little bit more.
Okay.
And your name, please? Your name, please.
Marsha. It's Marsha Klein.
Marsha.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
I studied conflict studies, and I worked in a few project and research articles. So I have a different approach because I just never see. I try to see the individual and not the action, because I know people just we tend to display different attitudes and different behavior because of other things. It's always deep rooted. It never has anything to do with actually what's going on. So, and then we also don't like to be vulnerable. We don't want people to see us like that, because then it represents all these society stereotypes that we have. If you're vulnerable, then you're weak. And if you're a guy, you can cry and all those stuff. So I try to look at it from just a different perspective and almost play like, I don't want to use the word dumb, but I always say dumb, like, okay, this person is this, and I'll just pretend I don't know that's exactly what they're trying to do. And I'll just pretend that, oh, I noticed that you changed all my links. But let's look at it, let's do it somewhere else. So yeah, it's a lot of work though, but it helps.
Okay, thank you so much, MC. So this is the real reason we ought to tackle the little conflict here and there before they grow to be the elephants in the room. It becomes so big, it becomes uncomfortable to talk about. Ijoma.
Okay, thank you everyone, and great session. Thank you, Ebele, MC, and all the team for this good job. I wanted to ask this question, but I was in the train. Usually this starts while I'm still at work, so that's why most times I can't get to contribute. I just wanted to put this question forward, just for anybody that has experienced this. Sometimes while trying to show that emotional maturity, being able to see things from a bigger picture of how do I make it work with this person, there's always this fine line that it's so difficult to determine in terms of when the person begins to perceive you as being weak and giving in to whatever game they are playing. And instead of really getting better, they tend to be growing in strength. So I don't know if anybody has handled something like that, or if there's anybody that can speak to that to say, okay, this is what I tried, or this is what could be tried. Because sometimes, these people in this category, they don't, sometimes, not all the time, they don't understand that somebody is trying to be the bigger person. Let's all win together. Let's put this behind us and succeed together and be happy. They see it like, okay, I've conquered this one, you've succumbed. Now I have to be stronger and make sure that just like light that needs to be quenched, it doesn't rise up anymore in any form. Thank you.
IJ.
Yes,
Someone
yes.
wants to address it?
Okay.
Let me try and see if this example might fit your scenario. So I had this developer. He's very good. He's older, very experienced, but he has no filter. It just comes out. Doesn't filter his words to anyone. That's one person. So on that same team, I had a QA person who's Indian. Indians are timid, but he's not timid. He talks and he's very good. He's the lead QA. That developer is like a lead developer too as well, front end. Then I now have another Indian who's also not timid. He's also a team lead for the backend guys. The three of them don't see eye to eye. Imagine having those three people on one team. They're very knowledgeable in their own field, but they don't see eye to eye. But because Indians, we believe that they're timid, so they don't really talk because the guy is American. So a couple of times I'll call him and like, hi, what's going on? So I got to know that one, he's veteran. But I'm like, I have other veterans, so they don't talk like that. So I told him one day, I said to him, I said, we all come from different cultures. What might be good to you or funny to you might not be funny to another person in another culture. First conversation. This conflict to continue. Second conversation. Call both of them. Okay, let's talk about it. We don't have to like each other, but we need to work together. But they're very good. They get the job done, but they can argue. And you know that they try not to pass each other's path, but they still try to work together. Second conversation. Third conversation. It keeps going. And he types, the way he types is the way he thinks. So once he just types the way it comes out. And then the other ones are pinging me and said, did you see what he typed? He didn't need to type that. I'm like, okay. And we kept having this back and forth conversation. For a while, it would go very smooth. They'll work together. But for a while, he will continue. He's very good. But when it comes to his work ethics is good. But when it comes to communicating with people, it's zero. Guess what? He left the team. He actually left the company by himself. He was like, I can't do this anymore. Because it seems like everyone is, and he feels everyone picks up on him. But he doesn't, every conversation we have is, put yourself in people's shoes. Don't say because you're American and they're Indians, or you just look at them based on their culture, you can just talk to them anyway because you think you're good and you're not indispensable. By the end of the day, he left the team. Team is doing better. Team is picking up work. There hasn't been one conflict since he left. So I don't know if that would be a good example to you, because the fine line would be, he's American, they are Indians. He can have overshadow them, he can talk. But the thing about it is, everybody in leadership knew that this guy had a problem. Everybody in leadership, if it's one person everyone keeps complaining about, then it's a challenge. And at the end of the day, he walked away. Because it was like everyone's picking up on him, but forgetting that he's the one treating people that way. So Ijoma, I don't know if that example would actually work with your thin line of when he became stronger and he just kept doing it and still didn't care about all the developers. So that's my sense.
Thank you, Coach. But then again, we also have to realize that at a certain time, we may be breaking the law, because we have a training, a workplace training that we did recently. And I didn't realize that there are certain things we do that seemingly are supposed to be innocent, but are seen today as being racist or one form of aggression or the other. Commenting on people's clothes and the person is sensitive, or their tribal hair or something, you may be thinking I'm giving a compliment. You didn't mean to, but you are like, there's a very thin line between, so many sensitivities coming up, and a lot of us are not even aware that our actions are actually against the policies of today. So for me, I would always also want to use policies. Ijom, I don't know if this will address, some of your own concerns. What's the culture of the organization? What's the policy around certain issues and behaviors? You can also use that as your, as the basis for discussion. Bintia.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I think, it all comes down, from what I can get, is that it all comes down to being able to manage the situation with wisdom and try to navigate it. I just found out that, like I said, for some people, like somebody said sometime, that you also have to stand up for bullies. And then somebody also mentioned that, of course, when you're new, you want to learn the ropes. And the discussion evolved to manage the situation as a Scrum Master, know when to escalate, but apply your wisdom and try as much as you can. Yeah, so in all that, it gets very funny when the other person is not, seeing it that you trying to massage their ego, in quotes, just to get things done and settle into the system. It's more like succumbing, accepting defeat. So rather than just try to play it cool and then give you a chance to win them over, they tend to get worse in their antics. I mean, it doesn't always happen with everybody, but there's this kind of people that are like that. And I've met, in my career, I've met two like that. And at some point, I actually had to stand up. And then it was a case of what's the worst that can happen. And things change actually, because like, somebody pointed out, some of these people that are not used to having anybody stand up to them, if you ever do it, you are kind of the David that has taken on the Goliath and all that. But it's a little bit tricky. And if the organization is not really an organization where, I mean, if there's politics everywhere, there's cabal everywhere, but on a scale of 0 to 10, if you're in an organization where it's 8, it's always tough to take on somebody who is a member of a cabal. Sometimes it might just be like, okay, plot your exit, walk away. But then I ask myself, which was the case in this situation? What if I go to the next place, I still meet somebody like that? Am I going to be walking around, leaving my job because I have, people in that kind of situation? So I think that's it. I'm happy that we had this discussion today. I have worked with people in a different category, in a different capacity, not as a Scrum Master. I'm aspiring to become one hopefully soon. But I thought I heard that this must be something that would be a very tough challenge for a Scrum Master position, because you are going to be working with people to get results, not as a leader, as a boss who would say, do this, and they're all running around trying to impress you, but creating an environment of equality, self-organizing, nobody pushes anybody around, but then being responsible to make sure that the team is functioning. So it's quite interesting, and I think it's a very important topic. So I thank you for the contributions.
Thank you, Ijama. And it's not just when we are agile, it's a mindset and it's a lifestyle. So it's not just at the workplace we should apply this. It should be personal as well.
Yeah.
Bintia.
Sorry, I was going to contribute to Ijama's question, and I have experienced that in my workplace, and sometimes it's really hard, especially when you are in an organization that is not practicing skilled agile. So which means every other person is condoning those kind of behavior, and the person has had that pattern for a long time, and she has consolidated on it. So I have a colleague that comes to work at 3 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m., and nobody has been able to question her. And then she starts sending emails to people at 3 a.m. in the morning. And not just that, then she starts putting her hand into other people's jobs, breaking every process in the organization, or to sabotage the organization's goal and make it all about her. Well, you know what? A lot of people did not understand what she was doing. They thought she was helping. But she's my colleague, and I shared an office with her. And I see what she does from morning till night. It's all busy work, Busy work does not bring value to the organization. It's only just to show that she's here for a long time and she's busy doing work that does not help anybody, but creates more problems. But people in management, the truth is that I am and her are in the same department, and I understand the process. The CEO doesn't understand the work that we do. It's only what he hears. And it says that, oh, she's doing this and doing that and doing that, and people just listen to her and she bosses them around and talks to them anyhow. And what I'm sorry to use this example is just like Donald Trump. Everybody accepted him. Oh, that's the way he is. And that's the way she is. And that's the way she is. And then she pulls all of them into her web. She's the one that will buy candy, a big jar of candy every week for everybody. So at the end of the day, another person came into the hospital and head of HIM. And then she's putting her hand into that woman's processes, and the woman called her out. So it became a power struggle. I'm like, okay, somebody else is beginning to see this, So some of these people, if you start fighting with them, and the people in upper management does not understand the process, they don't even understand, they only see busy work and not results. You may be delivering value, and you are not there for 13 hours. We have a meeting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This woman will come in to work at 3 a.m. in the morning and stay till 4 p.m. for the meeting. Why? What are you doing? In a good organization, they will ask her, are you struggling with your job? But nobody is even asking, right? And today, there's a process. Then she starts doing the job. The day that she does not show up, that particular process will collapse because nobody's going to do it. I told her, I said, look, this thing that you're doing, you go to another department and remove the expertise from that department. People in that department won't even know that that's supposed to be their job anymore because you have taken it over. So some of these patterns you're going to see in all these places, but you're just going to be fighting your own battle because the people in top management do not understand. Yeah. And sometimes if it's not agile, they won't even understand that mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah. So is it that you stay there or you leave?
The funny thing is that I found out that if you're a hardworking person and you're really, really busy with your work, you hardly have time to play politics. And then these people that are so good with politics, they do nothing and they have all the time to orchestrate,
Yeah. They will just shine with your own work.
Shine with your work, plan their game and execute it while you're just doing catch up. By the time you arrive in there, moved on to the next game.
But what I'm going to tell you is that keep on developing yourself and move and leave them there. That's the only thing, because these people are only doing this to stay there for a long time because they do not have, because I've told somebody before in a job, I said, I can compete for a job, you can't. So you can keep this one. I'm out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bintia. That's the organization that has an elephant in their room that they're not addressing. So it's something that will also come back to bite them. Thank you, Bintia, for your insights. Busahida.
Also, good evening, everyone. Actually, I changed that name. It's Busola.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you so much, Ebili. I'm really everyone. I mean, I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. It's almost 3 a.m. in the morning, and I can't sleep because it's just been such an interesting conversation, learning so much from different perspectives. I just wanted to chip in something really. Okay, two things. I want to chip in something to what Ijoma talked about, and then just to play devil's advocate generally on every interesting, really insightful conversation that I've listened to this evening. So on Ijoma's case, it was a sentence he said that stood out. Something about when you are the thin line between being perceived as a weak person simply because, for a conflict to find a resolution to a conflict, you decide, to be the bigger person. I find that in most cases is usually just calling on ourselves to be a bit more self-aware, and that you understand that the key word there is you are appearing to be weak does not mean that you are weak. It's just that you are the bigger person that has the, your focus is on the value at hand, what we need to achieve. And so you're like, if I have to be stupid to be wise, or if I have to be stupid to win, okay, then let's be stupid. But quite frankly, let's just win. So I'm like, it's a mindset kind of thing, because then it doesn't speak on the other person, it speaks on you. If you keep thinking, oh, I don't want to appear weak, I don't want to appear weak, we should just, try and remove that mindset and just focus on the goal and the work that, we have at hand. And then the devil's advocate I really just want to play is that, I've listened to when I think it was Olubukola talking and saying she was having problem with a PM and a PO and saying it wasn't competition. And I look at the screen and I'm like, madam, the way you are put together is intimidating enough. You look so good, you speak so well. And, and I think it's a general thing about Nigerians. Somebody alluded to that fact earlier on. I don't know what it is about us, but I've been privileged to sit with fellow Africans. And I always notice they are intimidated by Nigerians. It's not just an international thing. It's just generally. I always defend us that really every human being, every Nigerian is standing solely on their own efforts. All our success is our own. No government grants, no nothing. We've all worked hard to be where we are. So sometimes when we don't mean to be, in all honesty, we are the intimidating ones. We are the competitive ones. So I think we all just need to be a bit more self-aware of that. I just wanted to put that in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome, Busola. Thank you so much. I have my favorite contributor for the day, Masha.
Oh, well. Yeah, I just wanted to support Busola in what she was saying. Yes, sometimes the perception that we build is the approach we're going to take. So if we think that this person is going to assume that we're weak, then that's the approach you're going to take. And we're going to think that that person is thinking, but it's not based on any kind of facts. It's just an assumption like, oh, if I decided to compromise on some of my resolution with this person by accommodating certain things, they're going to think that I'm a weak link. I don't want them to feel that way. But are they really thinking that you are? Am I reading their approach correctly? So those, like she said, looking at ourselves too. What am I thinking? And then there's this other thing with emails. If you open up your mailbox right now and you feel a certain way, that's exactly how you're going to read that email, with that tone. And it may not be that way. I mean, that's why emojis was created to begin with, because we might send a message and the message might come out a certain way. But if you see a smiley face, then oh, okay, this person is just kidding around. It takes a soft tone or a softer tone, so it's not that way. But if I remove that emoji, you might think, why is she so rude? So it's us too, like the way we feel about ourselves. Like if we feel a certain way, then that's the approach we're going to take. That's how we're going to think, and it might just hinder the whole relationship with the person, the individual that you're dealing with. So honestly, it just takes like an immense amount of selflessness to accommodate people. Like just put yourself, not disregarding your feeling, but just actually put yourself aside and try to understand. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're paying Scrum Masters so much, because they expect you to go above and beyond. Of course, not be someone's therapist, but have this understanding of people that is just not the regular understanding, like to try to do more than the average person will do. So I just wanted to support Busola in saying that, because we just can't approach it the same way. We actually have to think about it differently. And then there's another thing too. One of the other members in the group said that, well, you're from Nigeria, your environment, your culture, you're cut from a different cloth. Like you grew up differently. The way you see things is entirely different. But at the same time, I'm not going to blame you because you believe in hard work and I believe in soft work. Or I might complain about, you hear people complaining about, well, my mom did this when I was like 10. So that's why I'm the way I am forever. You can't judge them because they feel that everybody's feeling is valid. We're allowed to feel how we feel, right? And your job as a Scrum Master, from all the information that I'm reading, is for us to take these feelings into perspective, work with these people, and try to create these teams that are high performing, collaborative, get the best out of people. Like you're a people person, you're trying to get the best out of everyone, regardless of where they're from. Yeah, so that's what I want to say.
Thank you. I just wanted to chip in something. I you know I take the advice and I appreciate it greatly. Personally, I'm a very quiet person. In fact, sometimes I think I'm quiet to a fault, and I know that people generally they get frightened when they see Nigerians because we really, really, really work hard, and we want to be the best. Just like you said, considering what's going on at home, we want to be the best when we have that opportunity. So that in itself can be a problem. The last time that I had this experience, the person in question was actually, kind of having issues with most people. And when I started working in the team, I was kind of told that, this person, how are you going to deal with this person? So I doubled my insulation kind of to make sure that right from the word go, I'm extremely careful to try to manage it. He didn't. So the point I'm making is that while not taking away all the comments, which is extremely useful, and I mean emphasizes the best.
There are still that moment where you meet those who will be an impossible case, but I hear you. Don't take it as impossible, and just be positive and let it come from inside. And one way or the other, the situation will be resolved. But in fact, this person in particular, even at some point, before things get to that situation, he used to say, I don't know why everybody hates me, things like that and all that. But she happens to be a member of a cabal, and all that. So it's I think for me, my takeaway is that it's one of the areas that a successful Scrum Master will measure himself or herself in terms of how able are you to summon those kind of challenges. It doesn't mean that they are not there. It doesn't mean that there won't be those ones where all your strategies seem to collapse. But of course, you won't give up, you keep trying. But I also believe that there's a point that you get to. You just have to really, really take it up to the next level when it becomes something that's likely to pull the whole thing down, especially when you have found your ground and you have shown skill, you know your job very well, they're not new. So everything goes in, know your job, work hard, be patient, be mature, check your own approach, do a self-appraisal, be positive, go extra mile, don't be quick to complain, don't be quick to escalate. But I want to believe that there's also that point you get to, that, okay, at this point, we just have to save the situation by going the hard way, either by leaving or by escalating, like somebody said. So that's the takeaway for me. But again, let that be a very long road.
Thank you, Ijoma. It's been interesting. One of the things Ijoma mentioned is self-appraisal. I don't know how many of us actually do self-appraisal because, when you consider your personality type, it matters a lot in how you receive feedback and how you also approach dealing with conflicts. A very long while back, I was told that I'm too blunt and I need to learn to be diplomatic. I had to start learning how to be diplomatic. For me, it was just easier. Oh, Ebele, what's this? Oh, it's this. Like they said, I should not say it that way. Instead of me to say, you are, oh, it's fat. Oh, no, it's not fine. The dress is ugly. Say, actually, it's nice, but, if only they could. I had to start learning to speak that way. Just not for me, but because the impact of my bluntness to the receiver. So we should learn to know where we need to develop our own skills for the purpose of the people around us. And then some of us, we have team working agreements that we are not using. That's the constitution and or constitution of the team. It should be a living document. Right in there, you should have ways that you as a team, you've agreed on how you want to work, how you want to handle conflicts, just generally how you want to work. When you do your retro, update it where need be, and always make reference to it, just so you remember we agreed that if we have an issue, we'll bring it to the house, for example, or if one person's issue is everybody's issue, just use a team working agreement. Use it very well. Let it not just be a document you carved out and kept somewhere. Let it be flowing. These hands that are up, do you still have questions, Bintia and Ursula? Okay, so I assume there are no more questions, or okay. Any more questions for the house? Otherwise, we can call it a night. It's 9:42. But because I'm the Scrum Master for the day, and I want to check up on my team members. Okay, India's hand is up. India, give me a minute, please. I noticed that I haven't heard Lisa's voice in this forum for a while. Lisa, where is she? Canada people. While we are looking for Lisa, India, please go ahead.
Okay, I have a question that I get a lot during my interviews, and sometimes I feel like I have a hard time, not necessarily a hard time, but I feel like the way I answer it sometimes can be kind of shaky. So I just wanted to see how some people would answer this particular question. And the question is, how do you deal with team members that are sizing stories incorrectly? So the example they would give is like, that the story is not that particular estimate. Like someone may always estimate it like 8 and it could be 5, and they're doing it wrong. What would you do in that scenario? So, yeah.
Well, before I throw it open to the house, in my opinion, why would they say the person's estimate is wrong? Estimation is, it's your perception of how you're going to do the work.
Right.
So, yeah, if you feel that the person is not doing it right, you're not doing the work. So that's not a right way to approach that. Instead, you probably, give a better answer in saying, if the person estimates this in this sprint, this is allowed. We're going to give the person the room to work with that estimation, because that's how they perceive how complex the work is to them. However, by the next sprint, it's possible they may estimate same way, or they may change their estimation. It's still based on their experience, but you have to give room for them to express themselves. Does anyone have something to add to India, please?
Yes, hi. Yes, yes, I do actually. Billy, you're correct in the sense that how can they say user stories? Somebody's user stories is they're whatever number they choose. Who's to say that it's wrong? Because they would all come together and then get to talk about it. There's going to be an opportunity to talk about the reasons why they decided on whatever their answers are to that. So everybody would get that opportunity to talk about it. Why did you pick an 8 instead of a 5? And then there's going to be an agreement at the end of it. So I'm thinking in my head, could that be a trick question? Like,
that's what I was thinking.
No, do they even know? Like, are they trying to try me if I say any English like that? So I would just turn that around and just say it, just like like Veli explained to it. No, we can't say anybody's choice or opinion as far as their user stories is wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That's my
Thank you.
contribution. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you both.
Thank you, Folakem. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Today I've learned a lot from you guys, from your experiences. Thank you for this wonderful insight. I hope we took note for those of us still interviewing, because there is no interview that you don't have a conflict issue come up. So a lot of feedback given today, those examples can be used, it will help. I did a particular interview and the feedback was, Billy is a solid Scrum Master, because I took all your examples that you give here and I was just dishing it to them. And they said, oh, solid Scrum Master. So it's been wonderful. Thank you, guys. It's 9:46 p.m. I think we can call it a night. Do you guys agree? Mama T, you've been quiet.
Tired.